Yes. Do or do not. There is no try. Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped. Now, did you know that according to SMMT figures, the best-selling car brand in the UK in the first quarter of 2022 was Kia, with just over 32,000 cars sold. Now, if you've been tuning into the channel recently, you'll know that I had a Kia Sorento as a Hendy long-termer last year. I've also had the Kia EV6. They've got some amazing cars currently in their lineup, but behind me is one I've really wanted to get on the channel. Behind me is the new Kia Sportage. Let's find out why Kia are selling so many cars, shall we? So here it is then, the 2022 Kia Sportage. Now, I've wanted to get one of these on the channel for quite some time, but they are quite difficult to get access to. All of the demonstrators are super busy at the moment, but I had a chat with my good friends at Handy Kia in Portsmouth, and they penciled their demonstrator out for me for the day so that I could take it, film with it, and share it with you guys. There is a lot to talk about with this car. Very, very interesting. There's lots of different engine choices and trim levels and a range of prices, obviously. In terms of pricing, the basic entry-level Sportage starts from just under £27,000, and then it goes all the way up to the range-topping plug-in hybrid option, which is just under £44,000. You have a choice of engines. You can start off with a 1.6 litre petrol or diesel engine with a manual gearbox. There's a mild hybrid option, there's a self-charging hybrid option, which is what this car is, and then there's also the plug-in hybrid. In terms of trim and spec levels, very similar to Kia. This is a GT line, and they do a GT line S, and then there's also 2, 3 and 4 options in terms of the different levels of spec and equipment. But when you go on to the configurator, pretty much once you've chosen the engine and the trim level, the only other thing you can choose is the colour and whether you want a servicing package. Everything is included, and that's what I really like about Kia. But let's talk about styling, because when I collected this car from Kia Portsmouth, it was actually parked next to a previous generation Sportage, and they are night and day. And the previous generation Sportage was a really successful car for Kia. This car makes a statement, I think. From the front end, these lights, the styling of them, I can imagine there's a few of you might think they're too fussy or too out there. I just think it makes a real statement about the car, and I like them a great deal. I'm loving the new Kia badge that we're seeing on all 2022 models. Front end of the car gets it for me. I really, really like it. Let's wander around the back. There's a little bit of family similarity as soon as we start walking around the back of the car. Now the rear view, I look at that and see Kia EV6, which I really don't think is a bad thing, because I think the EV6 is one of the best looking cars currently on the road. I love this kind of swoop just here, the rear lights, this black bar that goes across. I love this spec with the white, with the black roof, black privacy glass, very, very smart indeed. Question is, from a practicality point of view, how practical is it? Can you fit 2 dogs in the boot? Yes, of course you can. Move over, make space for me. So yeah, it's not the biggest boot in the world. I mean, it's certainly big enough for you too, isn't it? But the question is, could I fit my bike in the back? What do you reckon? You gonna sit down? Give me a paw? You don't do paws, do you? No, you want cuddles too? So yeah, no, it is very practical. The floor itself has got 2 levels, so you can, the top level where I am at the moment, you can lift it up and have underfloor storage, or you could drop it down to give yourself a little bit more overall storage. Drop the seats down, plenty of room in the back there, that's for sure. Do you want to get out and go and have a play? Come on then, you can jump. Whoop. You're going to need to be lifted because you're getting old now, aren't you? Ready? There we go. Now then, should I put the bike in the boot? Yeah, let's give it a go. Right then, what do you reckon? Gravel bike in the back. Now, by the looks of it, I just flick these 2 things there and that drops the seats down. That is super, super handy. And I'm going to try, because every time I do this, people go, put the rear wheel in first. So I'm going to spin the bike round, rear wheel in first. can I reckon if I take the parcel shelf off, no worries. No worries at all. Look at that. Well, nearly. All right, take the front wheel off, which I'm not going to do now because I can't be bothered. They'll go in there, no problem. Result. I'll take it back out again now. And get the Hoover out because I've just put tyre marks in the back of the clean demonstrator. Oops. I'll tidy that up. Anyway, onto the rear cabin. Okay, let's just... Oh, hold on. Oh, I think that might be a bit annoying. Let's just move that one up again and then reach around. There we go. So, it's nice. Oh, tyre mark. It's nice in here. Pretty good amount of room considering Lanky Boy is driving. So good amount of leg space. I do like the design of the rear of these headrests. I guess you can kind of hang a jacket or something on there as well as hanging a coat hanger on there. This particular trim level has heated seats in the back. I've got USB power sockets in the back of the seats. It's nice. I can imagine doing a journey in here in the back. Very good. Pan roof, as always, makes the cabin nice and light and airy. Yep, I like it in the back of here. Now then, let's jump in the main action seat and see what it's like. Now then, before we jump in the driver's seat and I show you the cabin on the inside, imagine you've parked up at the supermarket and someone's parked really close next to you there, or you have a really narrow garage and you want to be able to get your car in and out. Have no fear, because this car has the feature for you. I am now going to utilize the force. Bear with me. Just arm the system with the key fob, and then using the force, you just have to summon all your energy and just pull the car towards you. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Stop, and then oh, yes. Do or do not. There is no try. I absolutely love that. Very, very cool. Now, the big kid in me absolutely loves that feature. I know it's not brand new in the automotive space. Tesla have had their summon mode for quite a long time now, but I can see actually that is more than just a gimmick. I can imagine you're going to show it off to your mates down the pub quite a lot, but honestly, I've been stuck in car parks where I've had very, very limited access to the driver's door, or if you do have like really narrow parking space, and it's very, very easy to do. So yeah, really cool. But anyway, onto the interior of the new Sportage. Let me fire the car up because it's going to bong at me very annoyingly. This new swoop screen is very much straight out of EV6. And then having had the Sorento last year, there's a lot of familiarity in here. There's a mix of buttons and touchscreen. A lot of it is driven through the main touchscreen just here. On the main center console, you've got your gear selector, you've got some proper buttons for your heated and cooled seats and your heated steering wheel in this particular trim level. And then just a couple of things down here around the drive mode, but everything else is touchscreen. There are, I think, you know, once it's your car and you know it after the first week or so, it's really not a problem. But little things like here, I got in this morning and was like, how do I change the temperature setting? And you have to just click a little button there, and then this touchscreen display changes its format from navigation and main menu of the infotainment system to air conditioning controls, and then you can twist the little knobs to set the temperature. And then everything else in here is all touchscreen, and it's very, very kind of Kia, and I'm more than familiar with it. I enjoyed it very much when I had my Sorento, and actually in the Hyundai Tucson it's not that dissimilar. The underpinnings of this car are actually very similar to the Hyundai Tucson that I had, 1.6 litre self-charging hybrid. Now I know the internet goes mad whenever you use the term self-charging hybrid, because it doesn't charge itself. It does that, it fires up the engine as if by magic and on perfect cue. And the engine and the small battery, it's got about a 1.5 kilowatt hour battery, and the engine will kind of keep that topped up and charged, so you don't plug it in. I'm using self-charging more as a term to differentiate it from a plug-in hybrid, where you have a larger battery pack, just like the RAV4 I've currently got, or the Sorento I had. You plug that car in overnight, you might have an amount of EV only running, 30 or 40 miles is pretty typical. In this car, you can't force it into an EV only or EV running mode. It is a petrol car with a hybrid system, but what you'll find is in creeping traffic, when you're slow speed maneuvering the car in car parks and things, it will run as an EV only. But as soon as you kind of push the accelerator, off goes fires up the petrol engine, and you're then a hybrid. The main reason for the hybrid engine in this car is for fuel economy, and also for emissions and those types of things. So I guess for things like, if this is going to be your company car, benefit in kind would be better, and so on. Let's take the car out for a drive. My initial impression of the cabin, it's very nicely fitted out. I do like the swoop of that screen. And actually we see this in lots of other manufacturers. If you've seen my recent BMW i4 and iX videos, they have a very similar kind of swooping multifunctional display. And I like it a lot. It's a really nice place to sit in here. It's got all the toys I want. As I said, some people might be a bit annoyed by the fact it's touchscreen, but I'm sorry, welcome to the world we are now living in. I think, there are still cars out there with lots of buttons, but they are a dying breed. But let's take this car up the road and see what it's like to drive, because it's got well over 200 horsepower, and in sport mode so far, it's pretty peppy. Now then, let's start this review in eco mode and just talk through the basics of the car. This is not a performance car, clearly. It's a compact SUV, brilliant kind of family car, but certainly my time in the Sorento and in the Hyundai Tucson, which is a very similar platform to this, they are cars that you can munch the miles in. It's a very comfortable place to sit. I've got all the toys and all the gadgets I would need. And with it being a self-charging hybrid, I don't have to worry about plugging it in every evening. It's not a BEV, so I don't have to worry about plugging it in, else I'm not going anywhere and having range anxiety. I just get in it, fill it up with fuel, and off I go. So fuel economy's this car's thing, right? So if I just pull up the long-term trip on the car, it's a pretty new car. It's only got 2,500 miles on the clock, and it's a demonstrator, so that's not ever really a great indication of what a car can do. But its long-term trip over the last 690 miles is 42.5 miles to the gallon, and since refueling 151 miles, 42.5 miles to the gallon. So I think that's probably a pretty fair indicator of where we are in terms of its addiction to go-go juice. And for a car of this size, I think that's pretty good. Now down this particular bit of road, there are some horrible potholes and imperfections in the road, and the suspension is dealing with that amply. It's a very smooth ride actually, without the car feeling wallowy and floaty. It just cruises over the bumps and the lumps in the road very smoothly. It's got quite a high profile tyre on the car, so again, when you do hit a pothole or you do hit something just that little bit bigger, there's not a crash and a thump, it just kind of floats over it. When you get to a corner, we're only mooching along. This corner is a fairly large sweep to the left. I'm sitting there just under 60 miles an hour, absolutely fine, goes around it, no problem whatsoever. The steering has a very nice light feel to it. But I think the next thing we need to do is go and find a little bit of road where I can engage sport mode and engage all of the power of the car, because apparently it does lift its skirt and shifts on a bit. Okay, let's engage sport mode. Little rotation of this dial here into sport mode. The dials do change a little bit more red visible, and instantly the throttle response is much sharper. Now, by no means is this a sports car. However, the sport mode in it does make it a really nippy little car down the back roads. Its size as well, it's not too big, you can place it quite nicely, and it's certainly got enough oomph, that's for sure. Brakes, pretty good. Steering's pretty good. The gearbox, it's a 6-speed auto, and kind of, it's if you approach this car with the kind of sports car mentality, the gearbox is going to be the thing that you pick up and is probably going to let the car down. But you do have to bear in mind that that's not really what this car's all about. It does have a tendency to kick down or rev out. Going to the paddles really on a spirited drive, I don't think that's what these paddles are really for. They're much more if you wanted to control your speed on a long descent, or if you're in a built-up area, 30 or 40 mile an hour limit. If you put a car into and hold it into maybe third gear, it just makes it much easier to not break the speed limit and get caught for speeding, although this has got both cruise and a speed limiter on it, so there's no excuses really. If we just drop down, we've just dropped down a couple more gears there and pushing on a little bit. That little 1.6 coupled with a hybrid pushes this car on quite nicely. So you can do a longer journey, you know, you can pack the family up and use it as a family wagon or as a commuter, but if you do have a nice bit of B-road on the way home, it'll certainly truck on. You just have to be mindful of which gear the car wants to be in, because there's often a little hesitation if you put your foot down on the throttle a little bit too hard. There's a bit of a hesitation. The car's almost thinking, well, what do you want me to do? Oh, I know, I'll kick down, and then it kicks down and then it goes. It's not that kind of seamless experience that you would get in a performance car. But certainly in terms of smiles per mile, this car delivers. I do love it when you indicate in one of these and the rear blindside camera appears in one of the speedos. Really clever. Now let's try this gearbox out. Second, third. There was about a 2-second lag when I pulled the paddle to upshift, and when it actually happened, I'm now in third. And actually, not too much body roll. It's running out of oomph a bit there. It's quite a steep hill, this one. See if we can go down into second. There, down into second, and then up into third. Yeah, there's definitely you have to kind of preempt when you're going to change gear. But as I said, it's not what this car's all about really, but it certainly trucks along, that's for sure. So let's finish off this video with a bit of dual carriageway driving. Now, one of the features I just love so much about this car is that when the speedo changes to a blind spot camera, oh, come on, is the pedal on the right? Anyway, as we approach the dual carriageway, I just think it's a really super clever feature. There we go. Easily up to speed. This car is just such a smooth cruiser. So, final impressions of the new Sportage. Overall, very impressive car. Fit and finish is excellent, and you know, gone are the days when you have to start a Kia video by saying, you know, oh, forget the badge. You know, it just doesn't. You just don't need to say that anymore. I think Kia are making some of the best cars currently on the road, and they're right up there with all the premium brands that you would normally associate with you know, high-end expensive cars. You know, they're a match for BMW, they're a match for Mercedes, they're a match for Audi. I think they make fantastic cars at the moment. And I think Kia and Hyundai are really kind of almost pushing the agenda, and it's great to see. Really great to see. From a overall package, I think the hybrid engine and hybrid drivetrain, I like it. I think I would probably be tempted to go for the plug-in hybrid option. I really enjoyed the plug-in hybrid. Just it suits my lifestyle. I like the fact we can plug it in. I like the all EV driving, local runs and so on. And I think that would be very attractive. That said, the nice thing about having a self-charging hybrid is you don't have to worry about plugging it in on longer journeys, or if you're staying away where there's somewhere where you can't charge, you don't have to worry about that. You just put fuel in and off you go. You know, mid-40s MPG is pretty good for a car of this size. Fit and finish, equipment levels very good. Probably the only gripe I'd have is, although it's got lots of power and it's quite a nice sporty car to drive, when you do push on, the gearbox is found wanting, I think. When you're driving, you know, if you like, just mooching or cruising or driving around town, the transition in and out of EV and so on is very smooth. But when you push on, the gearbox just doesn't really know how quickly it needs to do things. It tends to kick down a lot. It tends to hang on to gears. The paddles are a little bit hesitant, and that for me, if you were wanting a car that also gave you some sporty driving, that would probably be a bit of a showstopper for some, I'm sure. But I could live with it, that's for sure. Anyway, I want to say a massive thank you to Gummy and all the team at Hendy Kia Portsmouth for letting me have the car for a day. As I said, this is their demonstrator, so if you're interested in having a go, I'll put their details in the description below, and get in touch, just let them know I sent you. But yeah, really good car, really good car. Maybe I could have one of these as my next Hendy long-termer. Who knows, because my next Hendy long-termer is coming in the next couple of weeks. But for now, I am going to love you and leave you. Head on back to Kia Portsmouth, and I'll see you on the next film. If you enjoyed that one, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome if you haven't done so already. Please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. And I'll see you on the next film, guys. You take care. Drive safe.